You double down.
No, you just take a break
All
for
good.
6 months and you say, "Hey guys, season 2 of the interviews is coming later."
Right? Oh,
Yeah,
this comfy. Yeah, I remember this scene. Exactly.
yeah,
You got the Christmas tree up. Very nice.
yeah. It's the smallest Christmas tree. Like I said, budget. You know.
Oh, it's good. Let me fix my camera real quick. There you go.
They're calling you the Looty Cutie. Is that true?
No, they're delusional. That happens
Oh,
sometimes. Yes.
they're
You know how it
why?
is.
Why are they
You know.
delusional? What's going on?
Well, you know,
What do you mean?
they just look at too many people and then they think that I'm lewd. But, you know,
I'm
I'm
not
not.
lewd.
I mean,
Are you implying something?
well, you know, you have a very
Very what?
fake avatar.
Yeah. So I was born this way.
Well, this is not necessarily. It's not necessarily lewd. I mean,
What do you mean? I'm wholesome. I don't know what you're insinuating
exactly.
here. Yeah.
I agree. Very wholesome, just like me. So
Yeah,
it's all
of course.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I left my chair. There we go.
Yeah. I have shorts on. You can't tell. But at least I'm wearing shorts.
Oh, I'm wearing something as well, so it's all good.
Huh. I'm glad.
No worries.
Well, anyway, we have 1 minute, so you want to start now?
Sure.
Okie dokie then. All right. So I'll show you real quick. So the camera you see there, that little like transparent camera looking thing, that's what I see. So or what the stream sees. So when I click this button, it
All
goes
right.
to me, goes to you,
Oh.
back down, and then the audience. There's 50
That,
people in the audience. They're all invisible using invisible avatars. Okay. Don't question it.
yes, I can hear. I can hear the cheers and the applaud.
Oh yeah, I had
So
muted the
it's all good.
world, so yeah, you can't hear them. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Of course. All right. Well, anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. And again, if you don't know who I am, That One Rebel, I'm the host, and this is my talk show, Late Night F Rebel. And here's our guest here. Introduce yourself.
I'm ShanaPlays.
Mhm.
I'm a VR chat streamer, content creator on YouTube, and I am just a Neko girl in VR chat like everyone else, or most people. That's
Yeah, I
it.
was about to say, I'm not a Neko girl. What do you mean? I don't have no tail and no ears. I'm different.
You got a nice hat.
Yeah, I got a
Hey,
nice hat.
different is
You're right.
good.
Hey, that's why I dress this way. 'Cause I'm different.
Different is good.
Of course. Well, my first question that I want to ask you is, how'd you actually end up in VR chat? Like, how'd you end up in this game?
That's a really good question. So, 2 years ago, I was struggling with some issues in real life and like with anxiety and stuff like that. And it actually got proposed to me to go into VR, not specifically VR chat, but a VR application where you can practice looking people in the eye. And I started the application and it went all pretty good. And then, you know the little list on Steam that says recommended games?
Yes.
VR chat was there. And I was like, what is that? I've never heard of it. I clicked it. And I was a little bit overwhelmed the first day I tried it. I immediately had a rundown with the knuckles and some other stuff. But I thought it was really amusing. And then I did my research afterwards. So I, looked up the name in YouTube. Some videos came up. And I was like, okay, this looks promising. And you can go bowling. And, people were in this hub. And yeah, I figured, what, I'm going to give that a shot. And then I slowly got into avatar creating because, you want it to be different, right? You didn't want to have the same avatar as everyone else. So that's how I slowly rolled into VR chat. Yes. And then I figured, I found out that there are people with many nationalities. So I kind of stumbled on the Japanese community. Yeah. And because I speak Japanese, I was pretty much fastly adopted to them. And then I started streaming for them. I actually started out in the Japanese community under Hitomi AI. And then later on, because of the struggling time zones and the job that I had, I eventually switched to the Western audience. I changed my name, and I became a English streamer, and that's pretty much how I started my VR chat. Which my anniversary is coming up next week.
Oh, is English your first language?
My first language is Dutch. My second language would be English, and I learned Japanese and a bunch of Latin. In real life, I have autism. I have something called Asperger's syndrome, and people with Asperger's syndrome, we call them Aspies. I call myself an Aspie. When we find a profound interest in a subject, we can go crazy with it, and we have no problem studying and absorbing any education that is related to that topic. I know of other SPs that have other topics. I know a person that know every birth date of every musician. Like, you give him a name and he instantly has it. Yes, and for me it's languages and mathematics. So yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story that you just reminded me of. I don't think I've ever told. So when I was in high school, this is like 6 years ago, when I was in my senior year of high school, I've never really met anyone that had autism or SP, as you say, like Asperger's. So when I was in my geomatics class, which is like geography stuff, like where you like do urban planning or whatever, I met a guy. I never met him before. He was a year older than us, so he was like held back a year, where he didn't have like the requirements to graduate. And I don't remember his name, so let's just call him like Peter or something like that. So Peter, when I first met him, he was I could tell there's something different about him, like just by his body language, the way like he would like talk, or like he wouldn't really look at you. He just sort of like, like not necessarily avoid conversations, but he would just like not want to be included.
They would talk but look at the ground.
Yeah, type of stuff like that. So I was just like, what? I asked because I have a couple of friends, and like I was like, what's with that guy? Like, what's wrong with him? Is he just like antisocial? I don't understand. Like, what's his deal? And one of my friends like half-heartedly, jokingly said like, oh, he has like autism or something, or like Asperger's. I was like, well, I don't know what that is. Like, what is that? And they're like, oh, he just doesn't really have social skills. I'm like, what? I don't understand. And as time went on, I talked to him more and more, and he started to open up to me. But like the one thing that I remember was that he was really good at like math and like academic stuff. Like, he was really good, but when it came to like talking to people or like presenting or anything like that, he was just like a mess. Like, he just couldn't get through any of it. I remember like many times I would talk to him, and at the time, I don't know how many people in the chat remember like Happy Wheels, the game. It was a really old, like, whatever, browser game.
Old school.
Yeah, it's a really old school game. And during that time is when like when I was in high school, it was really popular to play Happy Wheels and like those type of games. So I showed him Happy Wheels one day just for fun, and he wouldn't stop playing it, and like he kept referencing it. He'd be like, Happy Wheels, like constantly. He'd just be like, Happy Wheels, like all the time. Whenever he was just in like, doesn't matter what he was doing, he'd just be like, he's like, oh, I love Happy Wheels. Like, he just kept saying it like nonstop. I was just like,
you found a topic that he found interested in.
Yeah, so he would always like want to talk about Happy Wheels and like levels and whatever, and it was interesting. And then like I remember I did a project with him one day, or we had to do like a geomatics sort of like you know what the Amazing Race is?
Yes.
So we had to do something like that, but as a senior, we had to set up like the whatever stop checkpoints or whatever, and then like the younger students who were taking like, who were freshmen, they would take geography, they would be the actual runners or whatever. Anyway, the point was that I had to do a project with him, and I did like all the work and all like the stuff, and then we worked together or whatever, and then normally we were downtown in my city, and I don't have a driver's license, so I would have to either like take the school bus or like walk home. It would take like 2 hours. So he had a driver's license because he's a year older than me, and I was worried about him driving because it's just like, like he has SP, like what's like, I don't know how good his driving is, but he actually was really good at driving. Like, he actually knew what he was doing. I didn't distract him either. I didn't want to like He kept
That's
saying
a good
like,
thing.
yeah, he kept on the entire trip back to school. He kept saying happy. He was like Happy Wheels. He kept like going like this up and down. It was
Yeah.
kind of entertaining. But yeah,
It's
um,
just very relatable. Very, very
yeah.
relatable.
The one
For me,
thing, I don't want to
yeah.
cut you off, but like the one conclusion that I want to finish off this story is that I never wanted to treat him differently. I wanted to treat him like everybody else, and
I think that's shitty.
because people, I guess, in my school in my grade found out that he had like SP, and that
Hmm.
people started to manipulate him or like use him. So what I mean by that is a couple classmates. I don't remember their names, but like they would ask him to transport them to some places. Like, oh, they'd be like, oh, let's go shopping or something like that. And then he would be like,
Mm,
okay, like he would just do it. Like he wouldn't question, like, oh, I have to take my
yeah.
dad's car and then like take you shopping and pay for the gas and all that stuff. So they would just keep asking him to take these people to these places. So he'd just be like a chauffeur. Like he'd basically be a portable taxi. And he would just constantly be used by other people. Or like for example,
Yeah.
like his family was actually like, really wealthy too. Like his both his parents were like doctors or dentists or something like that, and they ended up using his place for like the pre-prom or something like that for my school, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I always felt like bad. I was just like, these people are like obviously using him in a negative way, and I spoke to. I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, don't take advantage of someone like that. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, shut up, mind your own business. And like, I try to talk to him, but he doesn't obviously understand. Like, he just says, what do you mean they're
Yeah.
my friends? And I'm like, no, they're using you. So
Yeah. There's 2 points that are very relatable for me. Point one is the fact that um, autism is very close to people that are just introvert, right? There's a bunch of people out there that are
mm-hmm.
just introvert. They don't like to go out. They don't have autism. So that's number one. Autism is a spectrum. It's very, very broad.
Yes,
But like what I have, for example, Asperger's, I can go to a hospital. I've been to a hospital. They take a scan of my brain, and my actual brain is differently wired than a neurotypical person. So let's just say, quote unquote, a normal person. Um, what I really relate to is, especially at school as well, is that I can't really read people. So if they're like emotional or upset or angry or
mm-hmm.
stuff like that, I'm very factual. So I like to talk in facts and science and not the whole, I feel that this is inappropriate or I feel that
Yeah,
you can't do this. And it caused me a lot of problems in high school. People would just avoid you or bully you. But at the same time, I grew a very thick skin. My problem started when I started working. So I'm probably not the oldest, but I'm one of the oldest VR chat streamers. I'm nearing 34. And then I've been a programmer for 12 and a half years and cubicle life.
mm-hmm.
Now, what's really good about me and hiring someone with autism is I can code program for 15 hours a day, no break, no complaints, just like a robot, and no mistakes. So if I've been programming 10 hours in a row, I don't get fatigued. I don't get tired. I can just go on. That's our ability. But it comes at the cost because people will treat you like an alien, like a freak
Yeah,
or a robot. And that's exactly what happened to me. People didn't want to have lunch with me. He's that weird guy in that, that stupid cubicle. Just don't go near him. Or what would happen is people had overtime. They had extra dossiers that needs to be done or programs needs to be fixed. They would just dump them at my desk. They would go home at 5 and I would work till 10 in the evening. And
what?
I took it because, I'm going to stutter if I have to talk with someone else. I get nervous. I don't know what to say because, I tend to say something that some people would say, oh, that's rude. You're so direct. You need to simmer down a little bit, cool down a bit. And for me, I'm just being honest, right? If I had to, just like on school, if I had like a project with another person
Yeah.
and they would royally fuck it up, excuse my language, I would call it out. And you can't always do that. You quote unquote hurt someone's feelings, and it's very hard for me to read. Those are the struggles that I had in working life and in school. As for people taking advantage of you, you hit the nail spot on. I have a bit of a reputation in the VR community. So last year, when I still had my job, and I was earning a lot of money because I had a good paying job. I was a programmer. And one thing I was lacking in my life, friends. I didn't have any of them. So when I, started VR chat and I started streaming and building a community, I started having friends. But the one thing I haven't learned yet, how to keep a friend, how to make a friend, and what are real friends and what are people that use you. Now, when I started and people saw that I had a big wallet, I got so many people coming to me with, hey, listen, I'm terribly ill. I need money for medicine. I had people that said, hey, you know what? I can only stream. I need a new computer. I don't have money for parts. Can you help me? So last year, I made a little quote for that on stream as well to show it to people. I spent last year $25,000 on people in VR chat to help them with their quote unquote problems. Yes, that's also the reputation that I built. People were calling me the wallet warrior, and it's not really nice, honestly. When I lost my job because of cuts, and the money crane went closed,
people ditched.
I was no one to them anymore. It's just removed from the friend list and just be gone. I had a person come with a sob story and he needed $1,000 and I gave it to them. No strings attached. Took it and they left my Discord, put me on the ignore list, and they just took the money.
Oh my god.
Just like that. Yes. So I kept everything, like all the Discord conversations, because I am very factual, so I need to make sure that I have everything, screenshotted and got my evidence. But it did really hurt my feelings, and I really had a wake-up call. Like, okay, you made some friends, Shana, but who are actual friends, right? And I'm still learning that now. That's been my process this year. This is a very specific year. Was all about friendship and community. Yeah. So when you said that part about your friend being used for rides and stuff like that, that's very relatable to me. And I also understand why he took it, because he just wants to be among people and he just wants to have friends. So for him it's like, wow, I'm useful to someone. And sadly there are people that take advantage to that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So like I said, like his parents were rich. I don't think he ever like took his parents' money and gave it to people, but people would pretend to be his friend to go to his parents' house because his parents had like they had like a pool and a pool table, and they had like all these like, basically they would just party at his house and stuff like that. Not like large scale parties, just like 3 or 4 people would just hang out at his house and like, eat his food or whatever, just hang out at his house. And I remember I was invited a few times by other friends, and I never accepted once. I was just like, I said to them, I don't think that's right. I shouldn't just go to someone's house. I mean, sure, I'm his classmate, but I'm not like his best friend, and I feel like you guys are just taking advantage of him, and I feel like it's just wrong to go to. So I never went to his house. He only offered me a ride once, and that was because we were both doing a school project, and we both needed to go back to school. So he took me back home, or back to school. That was it. That was the only time.
Yeah.
And whenever I talked to him, I never, I have the morality in my mind to be like, this guy, clearly people are taking advantage of him. I'm just going to treat him like a human being, and that was it. But I guess a lot of people are in society, those types of people that will prey on the weak or prey on people that can't distinguish between friend and foe and just want to help people.
Yeah. So society really changed, right? I mean, a lot of labels are being put on people nowadays, so that's an issue as well, because once you get labeled, they're going to treat you very, very special, which only makes it more awkward for everyone. Even though like people like me, people with Asperger's, we've been around since forever. I mean, it's not just like we just born in the world now. I mean, Albert Einstein was an SP. Bill Gates is an SP. I mean, we're there. We're in the world. It's just that right now, because of South Park doing a special episode on Asperger's, calling it an Asperger, all that attention.
Yeah.
And I really don't mind, but I know some of my fellow SPs say have a hard time with it. I have a very thick skin. It's also because I'm a bit older and I'm very articulate, luckily. But I also know a lot of people that aren't so articulate, and they get frustrated, and they don't have any source to get rid of that stress, and they build up, and then one day they just freak out, and then it will add to the stigma, because then people will say, hey, look at that weirdo. Exactly. And yeah, it's like that's what's been going on lately.
Yeah, I've always been, I'm not saying like I'm a superhero or anything like that, but I do think I can pick up on other people a little bit better than the average person. So I can definitely tell when there's something different about somebody. So when I saw that a person in my classroom was acting different, I quickly like questioned it, and then I figured it out, and then like obviously I was just like, I'm just gonna leave this person alone and let them do their thing and treat them like a human,
That's really good. Appreciate that.
Of course. It's the same thing
like
for VR
in
chat.
VR chat, I feel very comfortable. I'm able to talk to you. I can look you in the eye. When I went to TwitchCon and people saw me for in real life, that was a whole different ballgame. I had to, constantly remind myself, talk a couple words, look them in the eye, look away. How long are you talking? Are you not talking over someone? How's your voice? Is it not too loud? All the things that goes normally for normal people where you don't even think about. I actually go through my head, like, am I not talking too loud? Am I not talking too long? Am I not interrupting? When do I have to look them into the eye? When do I look away? Which subjects are appropriate to talk about or not? And you constantly do that in your head. And it's very tiresome. So I was really worried when people saw me at TwitchCon if they were disappointed in me. But that sadly, or luckily, that wasn't the case. We had a really good time. We did. Yeah.
I have a learning disability. I've talked about it before on my stream, but I can reiterate. I have a learning disability that's called an auditory processing disorder. So, what that means is my left ear, technically when I'm talking to people, I should actually just like look like this. So sometimes when I talk to people, like I just I tilt my head, so like more of my left side or like my left ear is more in the focal point of hearing people than my right side. So on my right side of my brain, obviously you have two sides of your brain, two ears. So my right side, I struggle to process information. Doesn't mean I can't hear. I can hear perfectly. My hearing's fine. It's just the processing of information. So what that means is like when you talk, right? You're giving instructions like verbally. Let's say like you say like walk down the street, take a left, and then take a right. Sometimes that information can be mix matched, and then it'll say like go down and take a right, then take a left. So that's the opposite of what I just said. But to me, I hear it as go straight, go. You know what I mean? Like to me, it sound, and then I do the wrong thing, and then people are like, "What the heck, dude? You did the wrong thing." So.
And then you get like, "Oh no," it gets worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the reason why it affects me every day is it's mostly only happens when there's background noise. So let's say you're talking and then somebody else in the background's talking, or someone behind me or to the left or the right, or if like the teacher's giving instruction and the student next to me is saying some crap that's not important, that's when stuff gets mixed matched. And then but like let's say the teacher says like press shift alt this, and then I do it, and then it does the opposite thing, and I'm just like, huh? So like a lot of times I actually have to repeat instructions. Or like written instructions is like a lot better for me, because then I can just keep rereading it to myself.
Yep.
I think for VR chat, my learning disability doesn't affect me too much because I mostly talk to people one-to-one. The only time I really struggle is when I'm in like in a club environment for VR chat, where it's like the music blasting and then like 20 people talking, and I'm just like, what? Pardon me? So a lot of times I just fix it. I just have people repeat themselves. So yeah.
I'm actually deaf in real life. I have implants. That's why I can hear you now. Wasn't born with that. It's an unfortunate accident that happened. So for me, I always try to focus on one person. So as well, when I'm streaming, I'm always in my own world. So unfortunately, as much as I want to, I can't really join the other people. I literally call them co-workers, my other streamers. I can't always join them, especially not in the presentation room or the club maps or Neko nights or stuff like that. It's just, I would not be able to hear. So I'm very restricted to my own rooms with the people that I know, and I try to one-on-one engage them. And that works really good for me. At the start, I was thinking, how could that work in VR chat? But for me, I don't know, I don't really struggle too much with it. Especially since I never finished my sign language training. So I never really finished it. So I still rely on sound and my transplants. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
I there are a few other people that I know in VR chat that are actually deaf, and
Like Ray?
yes, Ray is the one person that I know. I think there's
Met
a couple other people like Ray,
Yeah.
and this can go into a subject. So, obviously, the one thing that I always was very vocal about for VR chat was that when VR chat updated recently, or like a year ago, it ruined the whole markers. So then when people like Ray rely on markers and I can't communicate with them, I don't know ASL and I know very little, and I don't know if I would ever, being honest, I don't know if I would ever really take the time and effort to learn, because it's not for me. But like I at least would use markers to be able to communicate with mutes or actual deaf people. And then when that stops working, I got really vocal and very pissed off with this game, because I'm just like, wow, you just took away the one way I could communicate with these people. The only other way is to DM them, like, personally on Discord. And that's, or they appear in my chat. Like, I've had Ray in my chat, but obviously I'm vocal. Like, there's no text to speech. There's no, there's nothing, or you know what I mean? Like, there's no subtitles for any of this stuff. So I feel bad for deaf people that can't be a part of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I was also frustrated with the fact that, they didn't acknowledge it for almost 8 months. And then they finally said, we're going to, fix this with the new Unity update. But it all started with the inverted kinetics, the I-key, in January, February this year. Almost an entire year, and they didn't really do anything about it. And the way they reacted on the Kennies, the topics, the forum, it wasn't really professional either. They did apologize, though, but a little bit late. Yes.
Exactly. That's why you have that panel in the room? Oh, they're talking about, they can't see
the
on the
chat panel?
Yeah, the chat pan, or well, I guess on my stream I have, like, the chats there, but also I have, the keyboard there and then the markers. These are actual markers, actually work, made by the Japanese community.
Okay.
QV pens.
Yeah.
So they actually function. But I've always told the devs, I'm like, you should add like markers to like everyone's avatar. Like, you just open up your menu and it always just spawns a marker, and then people can
just like your stream camera should be part of your inventory. Exactly. Agree.
And then if let's just say like maybe you're like, oh man, this person's marker's lagging me, then you can just turn off people's cameras. Imagine if I could just click you, and instead of showing your avatar and blocking it, one of them just says camera off and on and like marker on and off. So then I just
and then done. Yeah. Exactly.
It turns it off. Then I don't have to worry about
lagging. They really dropped the ball, because when they introduced the streamer camera last year, August.
Yep.
They introduced the stream camera, and it took them a year before they openly admitted, by the way, because they tried to shove it under the rug. But what they did is, I used to be a programmer, so I'll take this very serious. I call it lazy programming, because what they did is, every time you go into a world in VR chat right now, it's just the two of us in this world, but actually there's 6 of us. There's 3 of you, and there's 3 of me right now. There's one that I look at. There's one avatar hidden right now called your shadow, but it's an exact clone of your avatar, just squeezed and the colors turned to black. And there's another one of you for the mirror. It's an exact clone. It's not an actual mirror image. It's a clone of your avatar the moment you spawned into this world. That's also the reason why if you use anything in a mirror, you don't see it in the mirror, because the mirror isn't actually a reflection. It's a copy of your avatar when you spawned in the world. So every time you enter a world, and that goes for you, goes for me, goes for everyone else, you get rendered 3 times. Now, the reason why they did this, and they openly admit it, is they said, we don't have the tech right now to make a mirror image. The only way to make a mirror image of an avatar is by using video coding. That's why sometimes you have those low quality mirrors with video, and then you actually see everything in the mirror, but it's very low quality. That's an actual reflection.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did the cheap way of programming. They just said, you know what, we're gonna copy the avatar 3 times, one for a shadow, one for inside a mirror, and one your actual avatar. So that goes for everything. So that goes for material count, that goes for your dynamic bones, transforms, the colliders. Everything gets 3 times duplicated in a world. And they did that with the Streamer Cam update. Now in January, when they finally said, okay, we messed up, but we're gonna fix it. We're gonna grab the I key, we're gonna rework it, inverted kinetics. We're gonna make it network side. So all the calculations are being done on our server, no longer on your computer. So you should get some frames back. Now technically, we did get some frames back, minor by the way, but we got a couple back, like 5. But the moment they took it in the network side, there's a delay between what is projected in the world and what you do. So that's also the reason why you draw with a pen. For me, it looks good, but when you look at it, you're like, it's all skewed and everything, can't read it.
Yes.
So people like Ray that depend on that one communication source, it's pretty much got ripped away. It took them another 8 months starting from January, so almost at the end of the year, to say, you know what, we figured it out. We now know what caused it. It's because of the way we render avatars in the world. We apologize. We're going to fix it with the new Unity. In a way, I mean, it's December. Next month, it's been a year. It almost took them a year to fix it and address it. And I got a little bit triggered by it because at the same time, they did cater to the Quest. They pulled out a whole new VR chat version for the Quest. So now they have 2 separate VR chats that they need to maintenance on. They already said they were understaffed, so they don't really have the capacity. Those are their words from their streams. And then they pick up a new project without even fixing some of the major critical issues within VR chat. And I was triggered by that. It also caused local lag for animations. That's not, that's a first world problem. I get that. But for a lot of animators, they stopped making animations. I'm one of them. Because why would I make animations if when I do them and I drop to 1 FPS and I can't enjoy them? There's just no reason for me to do it. It's going to be fixed with the new Unity, but a lot of people are sour. I mean, it took them a year, almost a year.
I talked about it earlier. Before, I don't know if you're in the chat or not, but I predict the new Unity will come up before Christmas or by the very least December 31st, 2019.
I'm with you. I think it's going to be next week, Friday. Fairly sure.
The reason why I think that is because, one, okay, so I am part of the Times Square Discord where you put your poster, like that poster over there. I talked to VRPL and he says they have to have that world up before New Year's, obviously, right? That world is 2018. That won't function on a 2017 build. So at the very least, December 31st, but I think before Christmas because they have 2 weeks holidays, the VR chat devs. That's what I've always been told. And people take those holidays around Christmas time. So it makes sense that you want to get all your work done before Christmas.
I really think they're going to drop it on a Friday. People have weekend afterwards. People will complain. Other people will update. And they will just let it water it out. Just like they did the sudden update last year. They just dropped it just before Christmas, went on a holiday. And then they sort out the mess in January with the I key. This is exactly what they did last year. And I think they're going to do the same thing here. I do hope with all the beta testers that, it's been thoroughly tested. But we'll just have to see. I hope everything will go okay.
Exactly.
I do know the shader issues are going to be fixed, so people won't be all in pink, luckily.
This particular model actually was on the Times Square map because you have to physically walk around and test it, right? And this avatar worked fine, so. But I have a very specific shader. Mine's, I forget it's called, starts with an S. It's like a SY something, I don't remember. It's some like custom tomb shader thing, not like a standard one most people use. I do my own shaders as well, but programming. So it's kind of my
I think.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of shaders, that can lead into the next question that I have. So, how did you decide this was your character? This is your OC. This is the one that represents your channel and
Oh,
brand.
yeah. Good question.
This is a nice segue.
That's a really good one. Thank you. So I started streaming for the Japanese community, and I was called Hitomi AI. Completely different person,
Yeah.
nothing related to Shana. Eventually, I made the step to go into streaming for the Western audience, and I was as I said before, as an SP, I have a couple of topics that I really like, and one of them was Shakugan no Shana, an anime. And I just really loved the main heroine, and that's Shana. But my issue was there was no Shana model, like legit, no deviant art, nothing. So that meant scratch. Now, I think you've been on VR chat for well over 2 years as well. I think you recently had your anniversary.
Yeah, just 2 years. December 10th.
Yes, 2 years. So you know that back then, when you just started, even dynamic bones were rare. People just all had stiff, and that was rare back then. That was unique. Let alone a scratch model. Like, people complain nowadays that they have to pay $80 for an avatar, or they use the atrocious VRC mods. I don't have anything positive to say about that. But 2 years ago, if you needed a scratch model, $80, more like $600 if you wanted to get a scratch model. Yeah. Because there weren't many people, people didn't even know what Blender was, let alone. So, I finally found someone to help me make a Shana model from scratch. And then from scratch, I mean no Frankenstein. So literal scratch, just molded from clay. Yeah. And then sculpted. And I stood really out with that and was super happy with that. And then eventually, as VRChat became older and you had better base models, such as the Miko Oka. And nowadays with Vroid is fantastic. It has amazing base bodies. I switched over to the base bodies, but most of my clothing, not this is the Chris one, it's just from Booth, but my original clothing, everything, and the hair is all custom. And I just transferred those over and over and over. But I started in a custom avatar completely from scratch. That's where I was inspired by. I always, as an SP, I really like routine. I don't like change. A lot of people don't like change, but I don't like change at all. Like, that's like the worst you can do to me, change. So I had the same music list, right, with the same songs for many years, many decades. And a lot of my songs are from Shakugan no Shana. And I remember that when I was thinking about what I'm going to name myself, and a song was playing, Hishoku no Sora, which is the opening song. And I was like, you know what? We go with Shana. And that's how it started. Yeah. Yeah,
it's interesting, to say that you've had a model made from scratch from like nearly the beginning. That's crazy for me because like you said, most people would just either find something in Big Al's or whatever Avatar world, or they imported themselves. I very early on when I first started playing VR chat, I quickly wanted to learn how to make models, but I found out to be very difficult. There was not too many tutorial stuff for like tuppers or whatever. So I ended up I still have some of my early models. One of the first ones I ended up deciding on using a lot was Kenny from Telltale's The Walking Dead, and I was like, it's not an OC, obviously. I didn't make it. It's a game character, but I was like the only one in the whole game that actually like used the models. So,
an avatar,
yeah. So my avatar stuck like a sore thumb because it was just so different, and I don't know. I just sort of molded a character around it, and then that's what it was. And then eventually I had it custom made. Eventually, like getting outfits, and then I had it made from scratch, and then I ditched that whole character like 6 months ago, and I play this character from scratch. So I've changed a lot in the past 2 years. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I play this character now. It's no reason at all. I'm just,
So for me, it's the opposite. So I've always been Shana, the same clothing. It's just been 2 months ago that, because I finally switched to a Vroid body, which is this body right now, that I was able to get clothing done. So people were like, "Oh my God, Shana, you've been wearing the same clothing for like 2 years now. Finally, you got some outfits.
Yeah,
So now I'm
exactly.
able to switch my clothing and everything around. But I used to be in my from scratch made school uniform, one-on-one identical to the one in the anime. Even the cell shading, everything on the costume was custom made and drawn. And then shaders, they really top a model off, of course. I mean, you can have a beautiful model with beautiful textures, but if you don't have the shaders to back them up, it just doesn't give that vibe that you really want to, give it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been Shana. Always. Yep.
Interesting. Are you always
Yes.
particular with avatars? Are you like it has to be perfect? Like are you like very like
It has to be
meticulous?
perfect. Okay, it sounds crazy. Just being honest with you, I get physically unwell if it's not perfect. So
Really?
I get unwell in my stomach. I feel like throwing up. Can't sleep. Will be awake. Needs to be perfect. Now I even I throw a fit over small things, right? So when one of my friends worked with me on the model, and we're doing texturing work, like
Yeah.
drawing, I would completely throw a fit because one of the fold lines on the uniform wasn't, properly drawn in. And just not have to redo it. It doesn't look good after it. And it's just a fold line. A lot of people wouldn't even see it, but I would. And it needs to be one-on-one identical. It needs to be perfect. And I have that with avatar creation. I have that with animation creation as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have that with programming, and I also have that with learning languages. Not just learning the languages. The pronunciation needs to be perfect. The context needs to be perfect. I go to extreme. It's almost like I guess you could call it OCD, and it has benefits, but it's also sometimes a little bit limiting in life, because sometimes I spend a ridiculous amount of time on something what other people will call silly, and it's frustrating. Like Pokemon came out, right? Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch, so everyone was doing their Pokedex. I'm like, no, I'm not just going to do the Pokedex. I want every Pokemon on my box labeled and numbered. I'm going to get every Pokemon on there. That means that if I evolve a Pokemon, I no longer have the previous form, so I need to get another one. So I have like an entire live Pokemon dex on the box, because I will get physically unwell if I don't have that neatly organized. And
Man.
I have that with a lot of stuff. Yes. I can't laugh about it though. It's funny in a way, but sometimes limiting. Yeah.
To me, I would say I sort of let things go, I know when enough is enough. So like for example, like a lot of my models aren't exactly perfect. Like there's definitely mistakes with this one, but I don't really care too much. As long as it's good for me, that's all that matters. But like I find that a lot of model creators and other people like sort of like they go up to me like, "Oh, it's a good model, but there's a mistake here," and I'm just like,
Oh.
okay. Like, I don't know why you need to point that out, It's kind of
I
like...
don't like that either. People that do that, it makes no sense to me. It's very illogical why someone would do that, because that would, like, if it's like something major, like game breaking, like your elbow is completely detached from your body, like you would have noticed it anyway by
Yeah.
yourself. So if it's a little bit ridiculous when people point something out like that. I remember Halloween, a month ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I got my Halloween outfit ready, but I was all happy that I got it in time. I wanted to show it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I didn't fix my paws yet. They weren't weight painting, as you can see.
Yeah.
So, but I already knew that. I knew that. I was just happy that I got it in time for a video. I logged in. The first 5 seconds I entered the world, I got one of them walking up to me and said, "Hey, look, it's not attached to your body." I'm like, I know. Like, can I just be here to hang out with my friends for a bit? Like, that's so obvious. Like, why do you need to point that out?
Yeah.
I got upset. I left the party, and then I ran on Twitter about it in a friendly way, of course. I would never mention names,
Oh,
but
I do the same thing. I mean, I don't
it
know.
helps with stress.
It's just like, I don't know. Like, to me, I don't go up to other people and be like, "Wow, your avatar's crap," or like, "Oh, it's just a mistake here." Like, I just don't say anything. If I see something, even if it's obvious, it's not my business to like judge other people's avatars. So why would you ever go up to me and be like, "Yo, that avatar has a mistake here. There's something not like if it's like super like, dude, your legs are like flying. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like if it's just like a really
something really crazy.
yeah, but if it's like something minor, like like on this like outfit, there's actually like a missing pixel like on the bra or something like that. I'm just like, who cares, dude?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And like for me, I don't make avatars. I pay people to do edits and like fix things for me. So to me, that's just more money.
Yeah.
So I don't really have the money. It's not like, oh, I just I do it myself. If I did everything myself, then I probably would be like, okay, I can fix that. Just take some time. But because I don't really do avatars anymore, I just do Unity stuff in terms of just doing setup gestures or whatever. And shaders, and all you do is just click a shader and be happy with it or whatever. But like when it comes to the actual avatar building, I let my friends and people I trust to do all the work for me, and I pay them whatever they want. And I know that some of them are rushed or they don't have a lot of time and they skip over things, but like to me, as long as it looks good and it's not like super broken, then I'm fine with it. But to me, if I want something fixed, I'm gonna have to spend more money on something, and I'm not somebody who has a lot of money in general. So to me it's like, oh, if I want this fixed, it probably cost me like $30, and I don't think it's really worth it. I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah.
And nobody notices until like one random day some model creator walks up to me and goes like, dude, there's this mistake here. I'm just like, and I literally just say like out loud, I'm like, I don't care. Why do you care?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm just a perfectionist. I'm like, okay, dude.
Yeah, I am a perfectionist, but I've never called anyone out on the avatar. It's the same with my OCD. Like, I have everything tidy in real life, in my home, in my apartment as well. But if I were to walk into someone else's room, I wouldn't care less. Even if like there was rubbish on the ground and everything, I wouldn't care because I don't live there. So it's just for my own stuff,
Exactly. Little bits give the avatar character. Exactly. We can take some questions from the chat as well. So if anyone has any questions for Shana and I, then we'll take some questions. Do you want to talk more about the community? Because you said that obviously there's many people, not besides yourself, that has SP and has things that they struggle with on a day-to-day basis that play VRChat. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Sure. So the one thing that I discovered the moment that I switched my demographic from Japanese streaming to Western streaming is I would enter worlds and I would see it's like a energy flow. Like people would mingle and they form little groups and they chat with each other in like Gaia Nights, the old classic map. Would all stand next to the campfire. They would have chats, and then I noticed like there's always a bunch of people that are just stand there, and you can see by the movement of the avatar that they want to mingle, they want to walk up to people, but they can't. And it was so obvious to me because I used to be that person myself. So what I ended up doing is I would just walk up to them and start conversation, and sometimes super awkward as well, but I'm like, who cares? Sometimes you just have to start awkwardly, and then before you know it, you get a normal social conversation with someone. And by doing that, I met some interesting people. I met Florent, who also is an SP, by the way. And through Florent, I eventually met Ryan and Jacoba. Through them, I met a bunch of their fan base, people that can't really connect to people. And before I knew it, those people felt, those are their words, by the way. They said, we feel safe around you because you get it. Like I can go into a party and I can just walk up to all the people that are alone and that want to join in, but they can't. They physically can't. They're too scared. They don't want to leave the party because at the same time they want to belong to something, but they just can't connect. And I want those people. I deliberately said, I want those people. Like the people that society say, be gone and just go away. I want them. And that's what I started with my community. And then a whole new world started to open up. So those were people with social anxiety or autism. But then people with, they didn't know what their gender are. Like they're struggling. They were born a boy, but they feel like a girl. Those people came. People with different sexualities. Which are a lot of in VRChat, by the way. I think everyone knows that. That's no secret. Yes. But they have an enormous struggle coming out talking about it because they're scared. They're scared people are going to laugh at them. They're scared people are going to bully them or memeing or whatever. And they get scared. And I try to bring those people together, and I told them, look, my community is like a big hotel with a roof above your head, and you can stay in that hotel and you can interact with people that are just like you, and you can feel it's safe and at ease. And then whenever you feel you're ready, you can go back into society, hopefully a little bit stronger, grow a little bit thicker skin, and then you can just do whatever you want. And that's been my mission. It's on my Twitter page. It's been my mission from the very, very start. I'm very proud of that. And we'll continue that mission. And that also is the funny part, because I'm a fairly small streamer. I have like 25, 35 audience, which is considered small, affiliate. However, I can completely full-time stream. No problem. And that's because my audience is really different than people that mass 100, 150 viewers, but those viewers will go away when you switch a game, or they're just there for specific content, or they don't really connect. They just want to watch something or meme or troll. And then poggers, they leave. I really, right? I'm really focused on community and friends and friendship. And sometimes drama happens. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not sane. I make mistakes as well, especially when you work with people that have baggages, on their back. They have an entire past, and but I like to think that I can make a difference, a tiny one. If I could give you 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day of a safe place, if you get bullied or anything, that might give you just enough strength so you can carry on tomorrow again, and the day after, and the day after. And I do that literally because I used to live that life. Like, I was that sad kid, bullied and all that stuff. And instead of pitying myself or seeing like a victim, I'm going to change that. I'm just going to be there for other people. That's the least thing that I can do. I was very fortunate with my job. I earned a lot of income, about 6,000 euros, so about $8,000 a month.
Holy smokes.
That's why I pumped everything in the VR community, everything. Unfortunately, I got used. That's a tough lesson and an expensive lesson that I had to learn. That shows you that even I had to learn about social contact and friendships. And it's still been a learning process. But with my community, I'm also growing. So it's not just them, it's also me. But I'm super proud of them. Like, we have people that were always muted. They're talking now. They join audio channels in Discord. They would never have done that ever before.
Yeah.
They go out. They feel a little bit safer when they go to school. If they had a bad day, they can vent in my Discord. There's a special place for people to vent. We take it very serious. We watch anime movie nights together. It's just very close. And when I went to TwitchCon and you were physically able to meet and see some of them, I was so proud. Like legit. Like, I was so proud of them. And we had such a good time. And we're all growing as a family and a community. And I want to, with some of them, I'm also very realistic. I know that doesn't go for everyone, but some of them I want to say that, you know what, in the next 10 years, in 10 years from now, there's a bunch of them that I will still know. I will still have contact with them. And that really warms my heart. That drives me. That's my motivation. So that's a little bit about my my community. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of a bit of like Nags, I think he's talked about this before, where he said like, I could have 1,000 or 2,000 viewers when I do my thing when I stream, but I don't know, his average is like 200, 300 or something like that. But like, his community acts like it's like 2,000 people watching him, because they're always it's very personal. He always welcomes, like he was doing his 24-hour just the other day, and like, he recognizes, like, I would say almost all his viewers, and like, he could easily pick out someone he's never seen before. He's like, "Oh, you never watched me before. Welcome to the channel, dude. How you doing?" Like,
it's the same thing.
So he's very personal with the people that he watch him and stuff like that. And he's built a community around it. I mean, like, a lot of people who do stream Twitch, they could just be like they could have 10,000 viewers, but like, at the end of the day, man, all they care about is just like you saying dumb memes or whatever, and that's it. Like, they don't really care about you. A lot of them also hate the streamer. They just watch to hate. But like, there's a lot more people.
They want the drama. They want to rile it up. Like, I always say, there's a bunch of I'm not gonna, like, I won't talk bad about them. Like, at the end of the day, you have to take care of your livelihood. If you're streaming as your job, you have to make it work for yourself. I get that. I'm a streamer myself, but like you have what I call the screamers instead of streamers. Those are just loud people, just very loud. And there's an audience for that. There's an actual audience interested in screamers. That's good. Good for them. I don't want to have to deal with those people. So I tend to, push those away and stay far away from those people. Then you have the people that are very community driven. I consider myself one of those people. I love that. Those people tend to not do super, super good in viewing averages, but they have like such a diehard community. They can go full time with 20 viewers just because they have that tight of a community. Very tight. You can switch to any game and they will watch you. I switched to an old MS-DOS game. No one would ever want to watch that. I was hitting 30 viewers on an old MS-DOS game because they were there for me to watch. See, that's the power of like a very tight community. And then, the other type, and that's also a type of streamer that is very needed, is the memes, people that are very outgoing, extrovert, funny jokes, sometimes at the expense of other people. I tend to not interact much with them, but I do believe that's my experience with them. If you get to know them on a personal level, they're not bad people. Yeah. They do know, like a comedian, they do know once the camera goes on and they go live, they do have a specific role that they need to fulfill. And it's not always friendly towards certain people, but if you get to really know them on a personal level, they're not really bad people. It's just, the way they do their job. And then you have the people like the role players and stuff like that. That's more for story-driven streamers. Yeah. I love them. I wouldn't be able to do it. I do really love it. Like Curry Games, when he has the RP things, I love watching it. I just wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah.
Then there's me. I've done everything.
I think this concept right here, what you're doing with the interview, I have not seen it before, and I think it's a brilliant concept. I think it's really good to know the faces of people, and I really enjoy it.
When I started this idea, I wanted to give more of a I feel like VRChat is a platform where people sort of build their own communities and they sort of just don't go outside that bubble and just. Like, let's say if you were a dancer, you probably only really interact with other dancers. You would know there'd be no reason for you to interact with someone who's a role player or who's someone who really does memes. I mean, maybe for like once in a blue moon, but like that's not your content, right? Like, why would you bother with doing something else? So I thought to myself, what if I use this type of like interviews to be able to introduce people like to that type of content, or like get more people to interact with each other, to be like, hey guys, let's all do something together, or give insight to different communities, because I met so many different people. Like I've there's people that have come on to these interviews I've never met before. Like, I'm not joking, there's some VTubers I've never met before. Like I didn't know Corey really at all. I didn't know Yukai, I didn't know Hiro, I didn't know a lot of these VTubers at all, but I brought them to these interviews to talk to them, and in an hour I get to know them a lot better, and get them to. I feel like for me, as a content creator, I want to meet as many people as I can and experience a lot of different things. Sure, I might not be good at everything. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people specialize in one thing. Like, oh, I'm really good at dancing. I'm gonna dance. I want to do everything. I do role play. When I get my full body, I'm gonna do full dancing. Do these talk shows, these interviews. I did a podcast yesterday, like one of the first times. I did a lot of different things. I want to experience everything. I want to do everything. I don't want to just stick to like one thing and call it a day, because I feel like that's very boring. Yeah. I want to experience everything and be like, I've done everything,
Yeah. So. Jack of all trades.
Yeah,
that's really nice. I myself, like I said, I don't really like change, so it's exactly as you said. I would probably be in my own community. Mm-hmm. Now, I did really enjoy the Japanese community. I made a lot of good friends in the Japanese community. I streamed for 4 months, completely in Japanese. Mm-hmm. I made a lot of friends. I joined clans. I'm still in Arctis, which is a Japanese clan. They recently made a nice book in real life with pictures and everything, and they sent it from Japan over to me. It was really nice. I had a good time there, but it also taught me a lot of things. Like the Japanese community are very tight when it comes to like playing games with the community, having a game night. Do things as a group. There's no I in the Japanese culture. There's only a group.
Yeah.
And I took that with me when I started to switch my audience, and that appeals to a lot of people as well, because that means that I'm very inclusive. Now, this is my personal experience, so it might differ from your views, and that's fine. But when I joined the main VR chat community, because I had to start somewhere, I was a little bit appalled / shocked by the way some streamers did their thing. And what I mean by that is there were streamers. I won't mention any names. We're live streaming right now on Twitch. I'm being very nice. But there were some, key individuals that were lying about diseases on Twitter and then opened a GoFundMe goal. And people seemed to be completely okay with it. And there were people that had a lot of followers. We're talking about 10,000, 11,000. They would have a bad day or had a bad experience in stream. They would go on Twitter. They would mention that person in that Twitter post. And before they knew it, they sent their entire Twitter audience to attack that person. And I'm like, maybe because I'm old, I don't know. I'm not boomer though. But if you have a great social media presence, and it sounds really, really, it sounds a little weak, but just like the Spider-Man movie, with great social media presence comes great responsibility. If I have a bad day with you, I don't, by the way, I'm enjoying this. But if I had a bad day with you, I'm not going to go on Twitter and say, hey, I met Rebel today, and gee, he was such a blah, 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 blah. And before I know it, I sent my 3,000 people after you. That was just stupid. But there are some people, especially in the VR chat community. I haven't seen them in the other communities, by the way, not when I did Final Fantasy or any other streaming communities, that really don't think about that. And I think that's also because the majority, I won't say all, but the majority is very young in VR chat streaming-wise. They still live with their parents. They still go to school. And that's fine. I'm not berating that or putting that in a negative light. But it does explain where the behavior comes from. So sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it frustrates me. Like sometimes I wanna just lash out on Twitter and set them straight, but at the same time I also know, no, they just don't do it. Just ignore it, move on. But eventually last year, I decided to move or break, sort to say, from the main VR chat community. And with the main community, I'm talking about like, just like the Discord where Nex, Ryan, Jocko, everyone comes together, the big one. I'm sure you know about it. Maybe you're in the Discord there as well. I decided to break away from it, and that gave me a lot of peace. That gave me a lot of like, I'm free. And then since I did that, I had a bunch of backlash. I had people that say, hey, Shana, you never collaborate with other streamers. You never hang out with them. We never get to see them on your stream. And I'm okay with that. Because I also, when I did visit other streamers, I would have people that say, hey, you only visit them because you want free audience, right? So if I were to visit a Tosha VR Trapman, or I would visit anyone else, they would go and say, hey, you're just fishing them for like free audience. So it's like, no matter what you do, they will always have like a negative comment, right? Yeah. So I decided, you know what? I will have none of this, and I'll focus on my own community, which was still growing back then. I think we were like 300 people back then. And then I decided, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my own community, and that's what I've been doing. And we're going very, very solid, very, very strong. Quantity, instead of quantity over quality, for me it's quality over quantity. Like I have less numbers, but it's golden people, like legit. I can't wish for anything better. Yeah. But I am scared sometimes that I'm missing out of how to say it, like the jewels of VR chat. Like you're a very kind person. If you had not reached out to me, I would probably never have met you ever. Because I don't really join the worlds where I would have met you, legit. Last year when you did that picture project for the Presentation Plus room with all the avatars on the wall, the only reason I made it on that picture was because, Chromia pretty much just kicked my ass and said, just join the Discord and get your picture in because you need to be on that wall. If they didn't do that, I would have just, nah, I don't belong there. Never mind. So you also need to be careful that you don't get into a negative mindset, because not every streamer is bad. So for me, it's like trying to find a balance between sticking with my own community, obviously, but also not try to be very negative about everyone else out there, because not everyone out there is a bully. Not everyone out there is, out there to get you or to take from you. It's just that I've been very hurt over what happened with the money, me spending a ridiculous amount of money. And, people just took it and then just run away with it. And now that there's no more money, you are absolutely nothing to them. Like, you don't exist. And that was a little bit hurtful, and I got legitimate hurt to the point where I'm now trying to find a balance between trusting people again and still sticking for my own community. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah, I understand. Well, we'll take a question or two from the chat. I totally neglected that. Sorry.
Sure.
So we'll take some questions.
Sure.
I'll 100% look at the chat now. But while we wait,
all right.
I can tell a story that's kind of relatable. Not necessarily of money that I spent. Like you spent like 25,000. You said. For me,
yes.
it was when VRChat was first blowing up. People, I was part of Team 5, and it wasn't really well known how to actually stream VRChat, like how to use OpenVR, to use OVR drop into your chat, all those plugins. So a lot of people would come to me and like ask like, yo, how do you like stream this game? And I didn't think about the foresight of like, oh, this person's gonna like ditch me in like a month or something like that. But I would just straight up tell them, I'm like, oh yeah, you need like OVR drop, you need this. How do you
get set up?
Yeah, get like Streamlabs or whatever and set this up. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. And then fast forward like a month or two later, and these people are getting, 50, 60 or 100 viewers, and I'm still getting like 3 viewers or whatever, and they never talk to me again. Some of them even unfriended me. Some of them have blocked me. They pretty much just used me as a
step up.
Yeah, a step
Get
up.
everything ready.
Yeah.
Yes. I had the same thing happen to you, to me as well, so I can relate to that. So for me, like from streamer to streamer, question for you would be, how did you deal with like feelings of upset or jealousy or stuff like that? 'Cause I had the same thing happen. One of the names I will mention, I have no problem with the person. I consider them as my friend, but Lexi was one of them. I got Lexi started. You can ask Lexi them; they will actually say that themselves. They said it on Twitter. I got them started. And then I gave them everything, and I gave them $300 to start everything. Gave them the settings, what you need to do, and they're doing super good. It's good. They finally got partnership. Congratulations, by the way, Lexi. Should you be watching?
Yeah.
But I still got, inside I felt a little bit salty about it, obviously, because I was like, they're starting later than me. I gave them everything I knew. I told them what to do. I gave them some money to, boost everything up. And then I'm like, what's happening here? Like, I don't get it, right? And then I know how it feels for people to come to you and they're like, hey, I want to be a streamer too. I'm sure you had that DM many times as well. Hey, I want to streaming too. I want to do that too. I see you do it, so I can do it too, right? Yes. And then in the back of your mind, you're already thinking, it's not as you think it is, right? But they're like, I'm on the stream too, and then they're gonna ask you all the questions and settings and bit rate and how to get OBS running and the plugin, and you spend your time telling them, and they just take it for granted. Well, you have to take screenshots or record a video and try to get them all the way through. You're taking your time out of your day that you could be spending otherwise by streaming or video content.
Yep.
And then they just run away with it. How did you cope with that? Because I was very frustrated, to be honest.
I was very frustrated too. Like, I spent my time telling these people out of the goodness of my heart. I'm not gonna say who, but like, if any of them ever leaked the DMs, I never said to them, yo, give me money, or like, give me a host or something. I never said that to any of them. I just did it out of the kindness of my heart. I never expected anything out of them. I just wanted friendship, just to hang out and, see them succeed and be happy or whatever. And many of them did succeed and become partnered streamers or
Yeah.
blow up exponentially and stuff like that. And when I DM them and I ask for a small favor, like whatever, like to come on the show or whatever, and they say like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to deal with any of you anymore. I'm just like, what do you mean? I'm the one who's basically started your channel and helped me
It's
out.
just rude.
So what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
come on, like. I don't know.
So
I've a good valuable advice that my friend told me, who's been streaming for over 10 years on Twitch or just streaming in general, has told me a very valuable lesson. He says that you're gonna be friends now when that person's like a nobody and just streams and gets 2 viewers, but the moment they get partnership and they get like 100 viewers, those people will change. Money changes people. Fame changes people. You will see it. My friend told me that when VRChat first blew up, he says, "Look, you see all these people in this lobby." He literally was like, "Look at these 30 people in this lobby. Some of them will get partner, and some of them will get popular, and you're gonna see them change. You're gonna see them become bitter when they don't get viewer counts, and they're gonna beg for money. They're gonna put up these fake donations and all this crap." And I was like, "No way, dude! What are you talking about? That's not gonna happen."
No,
and then,
it's happening. It's
and then
definitely
6
happening.
months later, oh yeah, it happened, and a lot of these people don't play VRChat anymore. But I was just like, wow, he was right. He knew the entire time.
I struggled with that because inside me, I want to call them out, but I can't, right? First of all, we signed a Twitch agreement, so we can't bash anyone on stream. And second, it's not a smart thing to do because you also draw in a lot of negativity that you can't really get rid of. But I struggle with it. Like, I was surprised that you would want me on your show, and the reason, and I'll try to keep it short because I don't want to extend your stream longer than necessary. But what happened last year, and it's very close to my heart. So this is the first time that I'm openly talking about this, by the way. I won't mention names because we can't do that.
Yeah.
I would definitely do it in a private setting with you, but unfortunately, I can't do that on stream. So in December last year, I hit partnership. So the button came free. I can click on it.
Yeah.
Yes, completely done. So everything perfect. And then I was unfortunately targeted by a very nasty group of people called the JMAA, and they were going to chat. They would post swastikas. They would do the N-word. They would steal your profile avatar. They will make a Discord account under your name, just a different tag with your picture, and they would just raid other people's Discords with your picture and your name. And what would happen is, for example, you're streaming, and then there's this VR Shana, which was my previous name, would go into your stream, and I would spam your chat, and you're like, who the hell is this person? And then after your stream, you're going to try to look that person up, and then you would go in my DMs, and you're like, hey, what the hell were you doing? It wasn't me, it was that person. Now, that happened in December and January, and they view-botted me. They bought bots to view-bot me further, so to go beyond partnership, to go to 150 to get me banned. Now, I'm very articulate, and I consider myself pretty smart. So what I did, instead of going against the flow and fighting it, I said, I'm just going to contact Twitch myself. So that's exactly what I did. So I contact Twitch by phone and by email, and I said to the representative, why don't you just analyze my content and my channel and get these bots out of my channel, ban the person that does it, and clear up my name, that I'm not a view botter. I mean, you can see my IP address, you can double check it. Here you have my access for my account, figure it out. That's exactly what I did. It took them a month, for 4 weeks. And in February, I was contacted by Twitch and they cleared my name. Normally, that would be the end of the story. That would be good. My name is cleared, the person is banned, and we can move on again. Now, here's the deal with my streamers. What got me really salty is that there were a bunch of key figure streamers. So those are the higher ones, right? The ones that are the popular ones. And they were talking about me behind my back. And the reason I know this, and this is funny, when you join a group DM on Discord, people tend to forget that when I join the group DM, I can just scroll up and read the entire chat conversation from before I join. So a lot of people were talking. I think Shana is view-botting himself. He wants the viewers. He wants partnership. He's doing it himself. Now, I got my name cleared by Twitch, and some of them went on Twitter to talk negatively about me. And then when my name got cleared by an actual representative by Twitch, which I send on Twitter and everything, there was not one of these key figures that had the decency to go on Twitter to say, we were wrong, he didn't do anything. they were all over me when it was going on. But when I got my name cleared, you know what? Never mind. That's no news anymore because, good news. Who wants that? Like, let's
Yeah, who
just move
cares?
on and ignore it.
Exactly.
And that's when I got salty. And that's also when I said, I want nothing to do with the VR chat community anymore because I felt disgusted about it. I literally felt so disgusted. And I dropped, I went in viewer count, I dropped all the way. I lost my job in real life. Everything went bad. I see a streamer complaining about not hitting partnership and complaining about 90 viewers when because they wanted 100 viewers, and I'm like, really? Like, are you really complaining about something? Like, are you for real? I kept it bottled up. And you know what? At the end of the day, I figured I'm just going to focus on my own community, and I got over it. But it took many months. Like, I was so frustrated with it, and eventually they got their partnership now, though they're all happy. But the way how it went, it's just very unfair. And I have issues dealing with stuff like that, like the social stuff, right? But yeah, that was something that happened last year, and I do want to. That's why I was surprised, because I'm being very honest with you. Not a lot of people in the VR chat community, the key streamers, really want to interact with me because I am too direct. I'll just say it in your face if something is not really nice. And because of what happened, like, some people had a completely wrong sketched image about what happened with my channel. And even though I got everything cleared, like, legit. So I was a little bit surprised, but at the same time I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a chance and a shot because why not? And I saw your interview with Corey, and I was like, oh, he's a really nice person. And let's do it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to, I feel like as time went on, when VRChat was first blowing up, there's definitely key figures out there. They're like, oh, people would look to, like, someone like Nags or whoever streamer at the time was, and they'd be like, oh, I like this person. That's like the key player of VRChat. And obviously that's time past now, obviously, Nags does his own thing. He does other things. I interviewed him. He doesn't really want to do anything with VRChat in terms of streaming or YouTube. He wants to move on to his own thing. That's fine. But when these people move on, that's fine. Someone has to fill those shoes. I feel like I want to be one of those people that fills those shoes. I feel like I'm not a perfect human being. I've definitely made mistakes, but I'm very open about them. That's the difference between me and a lot of other people. People bury their mistakes and keep it locked up in their closet or something like that. I made a lot of mistakes in the past 2 years in terms of VRChat, and the thing is, I let everyone see my skeletons and say, here, this is the mistakes I made. Look at them. I'm still, I'm a human being, and I want you to know that I can be better than this, and here I am today doing interviews, and I interview many people. I don't interview just streamers. A lot of people think that. It's not true at all. I actually interview people that don't even stream. As long as they have
like
an interesting...
creators or passionate about things.
Yeah, exactly. So I hate when people say, oh, you just interview... I'm like, no, clearly you've never watched any of them. I've even had someone ask me, like, oh, you've never interviewed a mute before. I'm like, bro, I've interviewed 7 mutes. Like, what are you talking about? Like, clearly you've never watched my show to know that. So... Yeah.
I think, from my perspective, respect, and I think what you do is really nice. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, and just having a conversation like this in a free setting, I was able to talk about some of my private life and the way I got into, streaming, but also community building, and that means a lot to me. And as you said, owning up mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes as well, and I openly admit, like, I've been too harsh on some people, and I've been jealous before, and that caused me to break some relationships that I may have not have broken if I had known, sooner that my mind was playing tricks on me. But it's all about owning up and try to look forward. And but I respect that you're able to do multiple things. So you're able to dabble in certain terrains where I'm like, I get super anxious anxiety. I'm like, I'm gonna try to stick with the community bubble myself up, but I do try to. Just like this interview right now, this was a challenge point for me. This was
I
for
tried to
challenging my yeah.
I challenged myself by changing my content every 2 or 3 months. Who knows if I still do interviews in 3 months from now? But right now, I enjoy what I do, so
Yeah.
I'll keep doing it until like one day I be like, oh, I don't really like doing this anymore, so I'm gonna do something else. So
Yeah.
I always try to keep myself busy. I don't like doing, because that's the mistake I did when I was a YouTuber. I would play the same game for like 4 years straight and make videos about that same game every single day, and it got really boring and very monotonous. That was stupid.
Yeah.
But when I started doing these
almost
interviews,
to a burnout.
yeah, I burnt out basically. So when I started playing VR chat,
Yeah.
yes, I've been playing this game every day for 2 years, but I've done different things to make it interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, question for you: what are your new goals for next year, 2020? Like, is there something specific that you want to do different for next year?
Like a New Year's resolution?
Can be anything. Yeah, like a New Year's resolution. Exactly.
I guess I could say this now, but earlier today I've already kind of made that decision. So a few other streamers have been talking about this for the longest time. They always complain about, including myself, about like, oh, this game's boring. People sit in front of a mirror all day and do nothing. So it only takes one person to do something. So I decided earlier today that I was going to make a Discord, and it's called like the VR Chat Streamer Events. So pretty much, many of these Discords already exist, obviously, right? But because I feel like I'm a well-connected person, I decided to make a Discord where it's going to encompass people who want to get involved in things. So like talent shows, game shows, whatever that just needs people to come together, events essentially.
Yeah.
And a more larger scale, because I feel like if you get the big player people involved in this, then it could drastically change the outlook of this game. When I started playing this game and I was a part of Team 5, everyone knew to watch Poke or Whoops or Drek or whoever every single day because they would play this game. Obviously, they don't play anymore, and that's their business.
Yeah,
but
during the Werewolf, for example.
And I hosted the Werewolf games. That's what I did. I used to.
Yeah.
And I feel like the only way to really change and look to the future is to get more people involved. Sure, I know that there's many people out there that may not want to work together, and that's their problem, that's their business. I'm the type of person that likes to be include as many people as possible. I'm not very like, oh, I don't like that person. It's like, well, I just cut out 30 people of my life. I'm not the type of person, I want to get too many people as I can and try and get something going, because I feel like people are always complaining about, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I'm like, well, here's the Discord. Bring all these people together and work together and build something. I always go back to this as a good example. Or Kadam, who's someone who role plays a lot. He was the one who made Forbidden Knowledge, and now the current roleplay he works every Friday is Callous Row. I'm a part of that. I do roleplay every Friday. That was one man that spent his own money to make that world and to get all those avatars and get all the assets and the lore and everything. He did that. Obviously, he paid, Kieran, Sketchu, and a bunch of other people, but he was the one that had the big idea to do it. That's one person.
Yeah.
So imagine what 30 or 100 people could do. It's a lot. So
that's really nice.
Come 2020, or like just before that, I want to start doing events on a regular weekly basis. Like every Tuesday, you get like improv night or something like that. I know that. I think Nags did that with Yup Doggy and Curie Games. I remember going to those every Tuesday. It was improv night. And those, I don't know if they happen anymore. I haven't seen them in literally a year. Like those events. So I thought to myself, I felt like those were like very community-driven things, where it's just like Nags' community and that was it. I'm just thinking, like, what if you include everybody? Like, include as many people as you can, and people sort of just go to those events, go to a dance night, go to, I don't know, whatever events, I'm just thinking, I don't really have ideas right now, but you know what I mean? Like, events that happens every week, so then people will come by and watch and be like, oh, this is fun, this is cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's
really nice.
Of course, they still run the improv. Oh, they do. I didn't know that, because like literally I've been to it in a year. As far as I'm aware of, like, I don't know. I used to go to it all the time, and then I remember like one time I just never saw it again, and I don't know. I guess they do it off stream and then don't really include people. Well, you get what I'm saying, right? Like it would just be
Yeah,
like that community, and that would be it, like his Patreon or whatever. I feel like it should be include
yeah,
everybody, as many as we can. And I know that I have the foresight to know that yes, when I make a Discord like this, there's going to be people that have beef with each other, but that's not my problem. You know, I'm almost liked
no,
by
you just
everyone
want
in
to
this.
organize.
Yeah, I mean, if someone doesn't want to
Yeah,
do something, then I'm not forcing them to show up to the event if they don't like the other person that's there. I mean, that's not my problem.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you just keep the door open. You're planning the event. People can join if they want, and if they
exactly.
really don't, they're not being forced to show up.
Exactly. And if
Yeah,
someone declines and doesn't
yeah,
want to be part of these events and they cry about it on Twitter 6 months from now, then that's their problem. I'll say, well, you could have joined it, but whatever.
yeah, yeah. And that's also the key difference, I think, because you want to be open and everyone is welcome. Whereas right now you have certain things being organized, like the Neko nights and stuff that are very, and I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way, but they are limited to people. Not everyone is welcome, and people can say what they want about it, but the gist of it, there's two people that decide who gets to come, and if they don't like you, you will not be allowed to come no matter what. And we need more people to be more exclusive. Like I have a game night every Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people in VRChat that have drinking games or drinking nights. Now I don't
Yes.
drink, and a lot of my people, I call them my people, don't drink either. We don't have anything against the people that drink. It's just that we don't do it. So we have our own game night. So we will have Never Have I Ever, but we'll have a different version of Never Have I Ever. We still play Werewolf. That's also unique because not a lot of people play it anymore. We have quiz night, a bunch of stuff like that. We have battle discs. I missed the days with the battle disc tournament. I had so much fun. And I'm trying to keep that in as well. And then also outside of VRChat, so games like Jackbox, for
Yeah.
example, very good off. I try to be very inclusive in that as well for the people that they don't feel comfortable to go into like big parties, but they still want to hang out. I mean, after all, at the end of the day, we're still all human beings, and we all, even people with autism, crave social contact.
Mm.
Despite that people think we don't, we do. We actually do. It's just it's a little bit difficult for us. So,
Of course.
but I like it. I hope. I really wish you well for your new resolution for next year. And well, you're actually starting it. I mean, this is already a good way to be inclusive. And I hope it goes really well for you in 2020. That's really
Thank you.
nice.
I appreciate that. On that
You're
note,
welcome.
I think we'll wrap it up. I'm sorry, guys, that we would normally
Yep.
take questions and we're actually over time, but that's
I
okay.
talk too much.
That's okay. I mean, listen, I still stream after these interviews, so if anyone wants to stick around and still want to talk to me, then they're more than welcome to. I sit in a world by myself and
Yeah.
really talk to my chats. So, I
Oh,
mean, that's what that
okay.
the after show is. Anyway, I'm gonna put
Yep.
the camera on you, and this is the time if you want to plug yourself. You don't have to, but I always tell my guests, hey, if you want to plug yourself and tell people what you do and like all your links and stuff like that, it's up to you, my man.
Okay, well, I'll keep it short. I'm not really of the commercial type. So if you just like a good time, hang out with people, go check out ShanaPlays. You don't have to. We just like community. We're very community driven. So we like to watch movies, anime, do things together, and just have a good time. In VRChat, I'm always in a friends world. I accept every friend request. So there's no private worlds. So you can just join whatever. Just know that we are very direct, and yeah, if you're like someone that has social anxiety or anything like that, and you want to be part of something but you're a little bit scared, we are very like open door. So come check it out, and if you don't like it, no, you're not being forced to stay. So that's just pretty much. I make videos as well on YouTube, but I don't really promote my YouTube because it's more a memory. It's like a diary. It's like a free cloud space for me. So I don't have to put it on my hard drive. That saves me money. So it's just memories that I have with people, just a memory. And I like to look back at them. I have very old VR chat series on YouTube. We're talking vanilla VR chat,
Yeah.
alpha. So it's just for fun. Yeah.
All right. All right, thank you so much,
you for having me.
ShanaPlays. Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for stopping by again. My name's Iwan Rebel, and most people just call me Rebel. I do the late night talk show Late Night Rebel almost every single day, and I also plan on doing actual podcasts. Yesterday was the first time I ever did a podcast, so to speak. So I plan to do them probably once a week or once every 2 weeks, so bi-weekly. We'll have to see about that. But I try to theme them based. Yesterday was about avatar creators, so I'm thinking of doing ones with dancers, role players, animators, stuff like that. But yeah, thank you so much. One last thing before you go, I always ask my guests is to take a selfie with me, so we're gonna do that. Just hold on 1 second
Sure.
here. Turn off the chairs. There you go. Because every time I do an emote, it's just like floating. Where's camera? There it is. Oh yes, the perfect angle where it's just my thighs.
It's because I'm small.
Don't worry about it. I can
Hey,
pull
there
it
we go.
down here. See, look, it makes sense. Now I look like you're my height. Always take two, by the way. Pro tip.
You're very right about that.
All right, there you go. Thank you so much.
There you
Sean.
go.
I really do appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you need any help with anything, feel free to always DM me. Like legit, you're a really nice person. So thank you so much.
I appreciate the compliments. Thank you so much, and thank you for stopping by. If you want to come back at a later time in a couple of weeks or something like that, hey, I'm always here.
Definitely.
Want to do another talk. All right.
Thank you.
See you. Bye bye.
Make sure you show love, everyone.
Yep.
I think you guys did good.
That's Link a Boomer.